Hello and welcome. I'm Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by my channel today, where my goal is to inspire you through my tips, techniques, and tutorials to create your own cards and paper crafts. So today I want to share with you the impossible box. Now, this is not my original idea. I have seen a couple of other people do this out there. There was one designer who had everything in centimeters, Shruti Patil, and then I also saw Paper Pixie do this as well. And so I took their ideas, converted it slightly to the dimensions that I was looking for in this box. So this one I wanted to be long enough to fit things like a marker inside. So what makes this impossible? It's one sheet of paper that has your lid with it. So this lid just pops up. You've got your opening there. Sorry, I've got my camera kind of low, so that angle's not the best, but hopefully you guys can see. So you push that down and your lid closes. And I have to warn you, before you get started doing these, they're slightly addicting to just keep popping this open and close. That will loosen up as it's used more and more. So it's just a really fun gift box. Now this sample one I did with cardstock and then layered some designer series paper on top to add to the design. And the one we're going to make today together is we're going to actually use some of the thicker designer series paper. So the regular DSP, I believe, is just going to be too thin to hold up to the box, so you would need to use the colored cardstock, but the specialty DSP is thicker. This paper has a little more weight to it. You do want to make sure you pick one that's double-sided. Generally, any of them that have the foil in them are going to be a good candidate for this project. So this is from the Broadway Bound series, and so I thought this would be a fun one with these hats. Now this is a directional paper, so you are going to need to think about how you cut your paper down from the 12 by 12. So this sheet is cut down to 8.5 by 11. You want your top of your directional paper to be the 8.5 and your height to be the 11 inch. So that's very important to keep that in mind, or you'll end up with a box where your images are not going the direction that you want them to go, and you're going to get frustrated. So make sure to keep that tip in mind. So I've already cut this down to 8.5 by 11. So if you're going to do the cardstock and decorate it up, you just start with your basic 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. And then each of these pieces, you're also going to need 4 pieces of the DSP. So these panels are 2 by 6. So I took 1/4 inch off. So these are 1 3/4, the DSP, by 5 3/4. So you'd need 4 of those. You can do them all the same design or mix and match. And then this panel is 1 inch by 2 inch. So again, I took 1/4 inch off. So we've got 3/4 inch by 1 3/4 inch, and you would need 4 of those pieces. Excuse me. I then use the excuse me, the Tropical Chic stamp set. That's the Tropical Chic paper. Use the Your Greatest and some dies that coordinate with this to add the leaf cutouts on there as well. So I've done a little bit of prep for us. So I've already gone ahead and prepared our image that we're going to use when we make the card, make the box. And so let's go ahead and get to the scoring. So I'm going to need this blade out. Now you could use your scoreboard or your paper trimmer. And since I'm using the paper trimmer, I'm going to go with my measurements from the highest to the lowest. And make sure you've got your score blade, not your trimming blade. And we're going to go at 8. Again at 6 inches. And I'm probably overdoing, but I want to make sure I've got a really good crease in there. Again at 4 inches. And another one at 2 inches. Now I'm going to turn this paper, and when I turn this, I want my bottom of the paper, the bottom of the design, to be facing to the right here. And we are going to take and line this up at the 9-inch mark to score. Again, we're going to go all the way down to the 3-inch. And then I'm going to flip this paper over, and I'm going to go to 2 inches. And down to 1 inch. And there we go. Now we have all of our scoring done, and we just have to do a little cutting and folding, and we will be ready to go. Okay, so this you've got some mountain and valley folds on different sides here. So these are our mountain folds on this side because I want this to be the outside. I just wanted to have these fun birthday hats for this card. So, or this box. I keep saying card. It's a box. I find it easier to go ahead and do some preliminary scoring before I do my cutting. I just find it makes it a little bit easier to see those lines. And I'm not doing a hard crease because we are going to put this together as a box, so I don't want those totally smushed down, if that's a technical term here. And then we've got this bottom fold that's going to go in to create our bottom flap. This one is going to go in, and now I'm going to flip this over, and these top 2 folds are going to be folded out. Now when we put this box together and we get done, this other side of the paper is going to create our lid. So we're going to have a different panel showing. Okay, now I need to bring my scorer back out. I do need to do a couple more. Well, they're little tick marks. So these panels are 2 inches each. I'm going to make a little tick mark at the 1 inch, the middle of each of those. And so I'm just lining up my first score mark at the 1 inch, and I'm just coming in and I'm giving that a little bit of a score there. So hopefully you can see that. I'm not going all the way down, just going to do that at the very top of the paper, and that's just going to help me with some cuts that we're going to do here. I'm going to continue to do that on all 4 sides of the box. You could also take a pen and mark that if you want to as well, or a pencil so that you can erase that off because you might not get rid of all of it. All right, let's come on in with our scissors. So you can see those little marks right at the midpoint, and they are a little bit harder to see on this DSP here. So let me see if I fold it over. It's not necessarily any better. Just this with the shiny, it's a little bit harder to see those tick marks. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I can see those well enough without getting my head in the camera. We're going to cut this off, and what I did is I folded this at the second score line down. Okay, and then I'm going to come from that midpoint and angle over, cut down this line, this crease line, come from the midpoint and angle over, cut down this line again from that midpoint, angle over, and one more from this midpoint, or cut down, and then from this midpoint down to the angle. So when I open this up, I'm going to have this design at the top. Okay? Might be easier to see. Actually, I think it's probably easier to see on that side. We've still got just a couple of more cuts to do on here. We're going to just angle this tab that's going to be folded over just so that that folds in a little nicer. I'm going to come in down here just above that bottom score line and cut down the score line. And then each of these folds on the bottom, I am going to just cut straight up on that score line. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a little sliver off of here, and if your base doesn't want to go together, the bottom panels, you can always trim those down a little. In fact, I'm probably going to go ahead and trim this one because I think I got slightly outside that score line. All right, so we want to make sure this top piece is folded down before we start doing our folds to create the box. And I'm going to bring this panel in, and I'm going to bring this panel in, okay? And we're going to put some adhesive on this tab and line these up. Now, you want to make sure that you're getting lined up on this score line with the edge of your paper, and also pay attention to your score lines at the bottom because this may want to fight you a little bit with the top. So just be patient, take a moment, make sure you've got it lined up well, and it will make your box come together so much easier. I just think these are fun boxes, and you can adjust. You can make them shorter and fatter. There are some options for those, and I'll be making some other ones as I continue doing my tutorials as well. I've got a couple of things that I'm considering packaging for my craft fairs in these. So let's make sure that's lined up nice, because it's wanting to fight me a little bit here. So I just want to take an extra moment here and get that nice and tight. Because again, our box is going to go together so much better if we do that. We'll hold that for just a moment, and I'll show you. I'm going to make some mini boxes to put some of these lip balms that I picked up to sell at craft fairs. I thought these would be cute in a little box, and just more of a short squat one with some filler in there and a fun sentiment on the outside. All right, so we've got that box together, and it's still want to play with me a little bit, so hopefully that's not too far off, and we'll still be able to get a good closure at the top. All right, so this is going to be the back of our box where that seam is. So I'm going to take and fold in my two side flaps. I'm going to fold in my back flap, and then I'm going to fold the front flap. And we're going to put some adhesive on here. I'm using the Tombow Mono Multi for most of my adhesive needs here. And we're just going to crease that down. If you wanted to take something and kind of put in there and push against that bottom to give you some leverage, you can do that as well. All right, and the last part we need to do is stick this top together. So for that, I'm going to use some 1/4 inch score tape, because this is going to be getting pulled on quite a bit, and so I just like the score tape. I think it's going to give me a nice strong bond. If you get that a little large, just fold that over. And before I adhere that down, I am going to fit this together and get a nice tight fit. Here's where you have to maybe jiggle a little before you really push that down. And I want to make sure that is lined up well. There we go. I like to give little extra creases on the corners just to Make sure they're nice and sharp, and open and close it a few times. Make sure it's working, and there we go. There we have our Impossible box with that lid. Isn't that fun? I hope that you enjoyed that today. I've got a sentiment actually to put on top, and I did have one prepared for us with a little birthday greeting. I'm not sure where it's gone on my craft desk. It seems to have floated away, so I'm just going to leave it as this for now, and you guys get the idea. We can put a sentiment on like we did with this one. You can dress these up however you'd like. So I just think these are fun little boxes, and they, you know, you can put a little gift in them, but they're still going to make a big impression with that box. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Give me a thumbs up, please, if you like my videos. I'm going to be putting out more in packaging and craft fairs and just general cards. There's a lot of fun stuff coming out with the new catalog, but I've barely even scratched the surface of the annual catalog. So stay tuned for more, and if you're looking for any Stampin' Up! Products, I sure would appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. There will be a link below where you can shop at my channel 24/7. Thanks, and keep creating.